Hello, strong and beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you are ready for another great video with me, Shelby J, also known as the Motherless Millennial. This week's video is all about the things that I gravitated towards once I lost my parents, whether that be hobbies, habits, activities, whatever. As we're out here living this parentless life, most of us try to find a way to deal with this trauma, right? That we have to go through, whether it is trying to put it out of our minds and take our minds off of it, or if we're trying to cling to whatever memories that we have left of our parents. We just need something, right? So keep watching and I'll share some of my grieving devices that I've used, some that intentionally kind of came up and I did it on purpose to try to, help me get through, and something that just sort of happened naturally that I didn't even realize it was happening until it was already happening. The first grieving device that I'll talk about is watching hospital/medical based shows. And in particular, we're talking about Grey's Anatomy. Now, normally I wasn't really even into medical hospital based shows. I'm a sci-fi dark crime-y type of show watcher, or a musical show type watcher. I know it's like two different ends of the spectrum, but I wasn't really even into those type of shows to begin with. But I think naturally I gravitated towards Grey's Anatomy because of, I guess, all the death, but not just all the death, just the being able to relate to the frantically rushing into hospitals or nervously waiting in the waiting room to await whatever results or updates the doctor was gonna give, or eating bad hospital food when I really just, wanted to go home and eat my mama's cooking. I just felt like the characters were the only ones at the time who knew what I was going through. Like, for example, when George O'Malley, and if you're a Grey's Anatomy fan, you know O'Malley. When George O'Malley lost his dad and they were all just like huddled around the bed, and he eventually had to make the call to take his dad off life support, I was just like, yeah, that's really just how I was. I really was. And I was just like, we here, O'Malley, we here. It's exactly what I went through with my mom. Didn't go on as quite as long. I had to decide to take off life support pretty fast. But yeah, stuff like that in the show, I was just like, oh, it was just gut-wrenching, but made me feel related to at the same time. I would just be sitting there pouring my eyes out, but at the same time, just being like, man, I feel you, O'Malley, even though you're not a real character. And so things like that just, I just really made me gravitate towards the show. And this was definitely the thick of this, watching Grey's Anatomy and just like medical hospital shows was really in my early days, like I said, when I was 16, 17, 18, 19, whatever, into maybe like early 20s. But as I got older and as I healed, I watched it less. And because I wasn't leaning on it anymore so much for that relatability, although I still will watch it every now and then because very organically, it's a great show with a great plot. Shout out to Shonda Rhimes. We appreciate you, girl. But yeah, I don't watch it as much anymore. Sometimes I actually avoid it because I don't feel like being triggered, because now consciously I know that, that show is really only going to make me feel sad. But at the time, I was sad all the time. That's the only feeling I knew. That's the only feeling I could relate to. And so, I fed myself with what I wanted, what my mind wanted. And this, like I said, just happened. I ran across the show, that was back in its early days, and just started to watch it. And before I knew it, I was watching it all the time. But now I watch it less because I consciously know what it did for me back then, but that's not who I am anymore. But still a great show. Love Grey's Anatomy. It's a classic. Now, the second grieving device that I'll talk about is cooking. And it was an intentional grieving device. For me, preparing, cooking, and eating the meals that my mom and daddy made for me just really made me feel warm inside. I feel like it does that for a lot of people. Food in general has that effect, right? So like many Southern mamas, Mine knew how to cook well and did it often. And I was one of her children that actually went into the kitchen without complaint and actually wanted to be in the kitchen to learn how to cook. And so when I cooked the things that we cooked together, or that, you know, she just wanted me to know how to cook because it was important to know how to make, and I try to do it now, I can almost hear her in the background, or I can just almost hear her voice in my thoughts, you know, telling me what to do, or how she would, you know, tell me how to season something or when to check something to make sure it was done. And those memories become really sacred because honestly, the longer it gets away from when they first passed or when she first passed, it almost gets scary because you try to remember what they sounded like. You try to remember what they felt like. And so cooking was a great way to do that. And my dad cooked too, albeit in his own way, obviously. Wasn't as fancy with the, you know, whipping skills as mama, but, you know, still, you know, he would fry fish and chicken. And with my dad, really, it was either fried chicken, rice and salad, or fried fish, rice and salad. Or, you know, he'd make me a grilled cheese and turkey sandwich, but in the oven, like the special way that he did it. Or my dad would mostly scramble eggs and crack them like right from the shell into the pan instead of getting a bowl and mix it, which is how I prefer to do it. But sometimes I'll do it his way, just because I knew that's how he did it. Or, you know, every blue moon when I do eat a grilled cheese, I'll make it in the oven. And so things like that just bring me comfort to have those memories. And the last sort of unintentional grieving device that I do is talking to myself, like out loud. And it's something that I didn't really notice I did that much until my now husband, then boyfriend, told me that I did. Like, I have full-on conversations with myself, which may be a little, I don't know, but full-on conversations with myself. But I don't know, it just, when I'm, you know, struggling with something, to figure out something, or trying to plan something, it often just works for me to talk out loud. And I often sort of talk to myself about what my mama would tell me to do, or my daddy would tell me to do, or how, you know, I maybe saw them handle these adult things, because, you know, I didn't have them when I was becoming an adult. So I try to like remember, okay, I remember I saw mama deal with this when this thing happened with the bills, or when this thing happened with the car, what did dad do? You know, and I'm like, oh, I think, no, he really did the, And I'll be talking out loud to myself, but it helps me and makes me feel connected to them to get past those things that, you know, if I'm feeling frustrated, or like I said, trying to plan something, things that I would probably call them and be like, hey, help me, or hey, I need your advice, or hey, I need your help. And, you know, thinking out loud, although maybe it's a little creepy, it helped me, and it still does a lot of the time. So I just share with you some of the hobbies, activities, habits that I developed, some intentionally and some unintentionally, that I've used as grieving devices over the years, and some that I still use now. And the important takeaways from my story is that you have the right to lean into whatever it is you need to do to make each day a little bit more bearable, because it's rough out here living this parentless life. And so you have the right to lean into whatever things make you feel a little bit more okay every day, as long as it is not hurting yourself or other people, because we don't do that here in this community. And secondly, it's okay to move on and move away from some grieving mechanisms that maybe you don't really resonate with anymore. And that's okay, because a lot of the time that means that you're growing, which is what we're trying to do here. So it's a good thing. Now, I really would love to hear some of your grieving mechanisms that have helped you over the years, that help you now, some things that you let go, some new things that you just started. I am really interested to hear, so please comment below if you're willing to share, because I am really looking forward to hearing about it. And some of your grieving mechanisms just might help somebody else who sees it. Because remember, we're building a community, we're helping each other, we're lifting each other up. So, like I said, if you're willing to share, put it down below, because I am definitely excited to hear about it. And maybe it's something that I can use too, because I'm still over here trying to grow as well. So as you continue to grieve and grow, survive and thrive, be sure to check out some of the other videos that are on my YouTube channel so that we can continue to grow together. Like this video, share it, subscribe to my channel to make sure that I'm always here for you. And if you want to try Instagram, follow me at The Motherless Millennial. Thanks again for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see y'all at the next one. Bye.